where she reports a delay in declaring the Houthi organisation a terrorism organisation. Can you take us through your concerns on this?
Look, this would have to be one of the world's slowest terrorist listings ever. The Houthis are a terrorist organisation. I wrote to the government in January asking them to list them. The Biden administration listed them in January. But they took nearly 6 months to make a decision to list the Houthis. And in the statement of reasons tabled by the department to the Intelligence Committee, they set out the process. And there are extraordinary and inexplicable delays throughout that process. Claire O'Neill, at one point, took 6 weeks to consider the advice whether the Houthis should be listed. By contrast, when Karen Andrews listed Hezbollah as a terrorist organisation, she did so after receiving the department's advice in 1 day. Throughout that process, between Claire O'Neill and Mark Dreyfus, there are further delays. The Prime Minister took a month before he decided to write to state and territory leaders. There are further delays before they announced this decision. I mean, it is a bizarre process that does not give Australians any confidence that this government is on top of the counter-terrorism challenges that we face. And it is either due to more ongoing fighting between Mark Dreyfus and Claire O'Neill, or due to the domestic politics that the government was afraid that listing the Houthis would have some kind of political backlash.
We've seen this Hezbollah attack in the Golan Heights overnight. The government says it's worried about this war expanding to Hezbollah and Israel, which is why they say they put out this statement, the PM, with Canada and New Zealand leaders on Friday calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Right before this New South Wales ALP conference debate on the issue where they called for a Palestinian state. What's your reaction to the attack last night, the statement and the resolution at ALP New South Wales conference?
And Andrew, I think you got it right when you pointed out that this statement was put out on the eve of the conference. That's no coincidence. And frankly, the Prime Minister should not be co-opting foreign leaders into his domestic and internal political management on Israel-Palestine. It should be decided in our national interest. I'm very concerned by the attack reported overnight, allegedly by Hezbollah, into Israel, which apparently struck a soccer field and killed 10 people, including children. Israel will respond, and they are well within their rights to respond, because Hezbollah is a listed terrorist organisation that is operating in southern Lebanon in violation of United Nations Security Council Resolution 1701, which was adopted in 2006, which says that all the territories south of the Litani River should be demilitarised. Well, it's not demilitarised. It has tens of thousands of Hezbollah rockets and fighters. They've been firing missiles into northern Israel for months. I thought it was absolutely extraordinary when you asked him before that the Deputy Prime Minister, instead of choosing to target his criticism at the listed terrorist organisation Hezbollah or their proxy sponsor Iran, instead gave Israel yet another public moral lecture about how it's their job not to escalate just after Israeli children have been killed in Hezbollah rocket fire. Frankly, this government's priorities are all wrong when it comes to these issues. It is a totally unbalanced approach, and they should stop their focus on domestic politics and instead stand up for our national interest.
Benjamin Netanyahu's address to Congress was controversial this week in the US. Do you think he hit the right note?
I think he had a very strong speech, and I think he very clearly outlined the rationale for why Israel continues to seek the removal of Hamas from Gaza, because there will not be peace for the people of Gaza or the broader Palestinian population or the people of Israel while Hamas remains in charge. And we should never forget that there are still Israeli hostages held in Gaza to this day. And that's why I thought it was disappointing for the Prime Minister to be giving a public lecture to them on Friday night, releasing a statement on Shabbat, by no coincidence, I'm sure, to tell them that they should have a ceasefire, while also saying that Hamas should be removed from power. How does the Prime Minister think Hamas is going to be removed from power, if not by the Israeli Defence Forces?
Shadow Home Affairs Minister James Paterson, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.